Hello, Bobby.
Hi, Ramon.
I don't know who else is going to show up today.
Okay. Well, we may be briefer than the normal.
Yeah, we're thinking about, we'll stay for a little while and see who else shows up.
Okay.
Listen, I sent you an email.
The one about Coursera,
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
it's similar to what we have available in Zoom.
No. I mean, I don't think that's what it is. Uh, Basically, what it does, it's a tool for a professor in a university.
Right.
Now, Kenneth told me that, he has had trouble, for example, getting some courses for which there are no faculty who can teach that.
Okay.
And there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of resistance to say, well, we don't have to do that. Let's substitute this course by a Coursera course. There has been a lot of resistance among academics all over the United States to do that because they see Coursera as kind of doing their job, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, when we teach Stat 201, let me see who that is. Somebody else is actually, Paul is actually, and how you doing, Paul?
Good. How you doing? Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let me see if I call Ken and see what he's doing, whether he's going to show up today.
All right. How you doing, Bobby?
I am very well.
Good. Have a good, enjoy good holidays.
We did. We had all 3 children and a husband and 2 grandkids. So we had 6 people joining us over Christmas holiday, and everyone was safe or tested negative. So we really enjoyed when my son
Oh,
finally got word of the negative result. He immediately said, "Hand me the baby." his niece.
Wow,
Everybody laughed and cheered.
that's great.
Did you have any gathering?
We kept it pretty minimal. It's just my wife and I, and we reached out to people on the phone, but it was just the 2 of us. We have our 2 granddaughters are visiting us now, but we kept it very simple, and that's okay.
Call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Yeah, we had
652
my son
5
had significant conversation with his sister.
Ken,
He goes back to Nashville, where he flew Baltimore to Nashville so it could be nonstop.
Ken, are you joining us today, or you want to
And
take it
the
off?
airport was broken.
Paul and Bobby are here.
They had a really good conversation, and he ended up writing,
But anyway, I'll see you later.
commenting about how therapeutic for him family time is.
Yeah.
So it was worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is we all have to make choices that there's the trade-off, and most of us, I think, are trying to have a low profile and follow the correct social distancing and all that, and if you can trust anybody to having that diligence, it's probably all of us, it's our immediate family.
¿Quién habla? Vera.
Sí.
All the preparations in the
Quiere que
world
te invite yo,
on
pero nada más que tengo León.
what this virus is really about, which is kind of the challenge.
Están leyendo el libro viejo, ¿no?
Sí, pero yo creo que no va a pasar nada. Nada más que estamos aquí porque
Cases,
gente no,
a friend of Mary Kay
estamos más o menos hablando, pero no vamos a hacer nada.
had
Es que tengo una familia aquí.
Bueno, después, nada más que te digo porque me dijiste que querías participar. ¿Okay?
infections.
¿Cuál es el próximo libro que van a leer?
Después te digo que ahora estoy en el mail meeting, ¿ok?
Even at work, so I was, my boss was off this week, but we had to get him on the phone because we were having some issues. We were chatting with him a bit, and he passed along that his boss had come with COVID, and so did her daughter, who's also a university student. So it's clear that here UF, which is the biggest school in the area, kids are bringing it home from school, which is really tough. And so anybody who's in the faculty is in teaching at this point really carries high risk if you're in front of class, if you're in front of students, because young people seem to be the biggest transmitters of this virus at this time.
My friend here in town got the COVID, and his son got it. And the son is out there playing basketball.
Yeah.
So the son is totally asymptomatic. He's about 8 or 9, 10.
Yeah.
Totally asymptomatic. And it looks like he brought it home. Anyway, you people know that, I don't know, I heard that in Knox County where we are, for a little while, we were, I think, the #1 per capita contagion of the virus.
Well, we were in the top 20.
We're in
Yeah.
the top 20. I'm not really sure. But the other thing that I found out that's kind of interesting, there was this couple who basically, they're elder people, and they've been doing everything. They didn't go anywhere. They did everything. And all of a sudden they had the son and his wife or something show up the house. They had masks and next to the window. And she was, basically they came to the house to give the couple a haircut. And they were there 40 minutes with masks on, all of that, and they both died.
Oh,
Yeah, I
They
read
both
the same story. I read the
Huh?
same story. I read the same story on CNN.
Yeah, that's where I heard it. So, and then it looks like they have this new variety that is coming from, there's a couple of one that appear in Great Britain and another one in South Africa, and they look like they're about 50% more contagious than so far is the symptoms. So this is going to be, more and more contagious that we have, so this is basically, we got to really be careful until that vaccine. I decided not to go to the doctor. I'm going to do my physical recently, and I'm not going to go to the doctor until he gets vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that until he gets vaccinated because, what's the difference waiting a month extra?
that's right.
There's no big deal about that. And so we're going to be doing that. And, but anyway, I don't know whether Ken is not showing up. So I think what we want to do today is kind of like a short one, informal one.
Well, let's
Sure.
just do, what if we just do the one chapter, the one that you said was really short.
And we can do that. Let me go ahead and highlight. Okay, we'll do that. I want to show you something before.
Okay.
And I want to show you something, it's going to take about 3 minutes. But I read an article that basically an article about what is called deep reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an article of deep reading, and I've been feeling for years like I'm some kind of Martian. Remember I keep telling you about that I keep talking to myself all the time, because I don't have anybody to talk and all of that.
Yep.
It looks like I'm not so crazy. Can you put him in front of me? Hello? ¿Cómo? It looks like I'm not being crazy. It looks like what is happening massively is that people are, watching, they watch CNN and then they go there and jump around and they jump around. And it's not only that they're not interested, they're losing the ability to read something like a Russian novel.
Yeah.
They're losing and one of the things this article was talking about, once somebody reads
Dice Vera que la dejes entrar.
Pero dile que... Pero,
Hello, Susanna.
hi there. I'm going to get back here, by the way. Let me mention something. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call her right now. She wanted me to call her, but
How is her husband?
uh,
Is he back?
he's recovering. He basically had a stroke, and he's recovering, and he's recovering, and you know he's recovering, and let me go ahead and call Vera, okay? And
Go ahead.
Ramón.
le mandé la invitación a León, así que no sé.
Ah, a León. Ok, entonces déjame buscar. Es que tengo problemas con el computer. Voy a ver
Si
me
quieres,
puedo
si quieres,
meter,
si
ok.
quieres te puedo preguntar, te mando también el link por correo. ¿Cómo tú quieres que te lo mande?
Bueno, yo puedo ir al site del León. El problema es que me lo pueden mandar a 4 veritas.
Sí, ahora mismo te lo mando, ¿ok?
Ok.
Anyway, the other day I made a statement, Bobby, that you kind of contradicted, that we are all looking for redemption, and you didn't quite like the word, and maybe,
I remember the exchange.
but maybe you and I are using the word differently, and the way I am actually using the word is that we are reading this kind of thing as a way of becoming better people and getting rid of hate and injustice and all kinds of things of that type. And so to me, that's kind of like redemption. And in my case, having a background from a Catholic church, very strong Catholic church background, one of the things that the Catholic Church tells you at the end of your life that you have to engage in contemplation to find out what's wrong with you, what you think. And so, I mean, to me, it's very similar to now. So to me, it's very similar. That's what I mean by redemption. You know, it's not redemption for heaven or anything like that. But does that make sense?
Yeah, certainly. I think you're accurate in saying that your definition and my definition, when we hear that word, we think of something different because the New Testament does use it in a very specific way.
Well, it was using it in a way that was kind of loose, okay? I wasn't really trying to be precise. I say it's like seeking redemption within a religion. Now, let me see if Vera's been. I wanted to let me wait a couple of minutes and see if she comes up because I want to show you. Well, I read an article yesterday from David Brooks.
What did he write about?
Well, every day I find out that I was wrong about something. You know, I mean, it's things that I really believe, all my life, and I was completely true, completely sure and knew exactly what's going on. And this type of people come up with articles that show you that you have been looking at things wrong all your life, okay? Well, it turns out that his column is about all kinds of research that this type of training that is going on in corporations about becoming aware of racism and all that kind of stuff doesn't work. There is no correlation between that kind of courses and increasing participation of minorities in management or less, whatever. And it turns out that for some people it's really bad because they feel left out.
Yeah, I read that. I see that.
Well, anyway, the big deal is that if you read this chapter in another one we're going to do today, but the rest is he makes a big statement that you can't really depend on people's goodwill and all that because it's not going to work. He said what you need to do is create something like Obamacare. Hold on a minute. Like Obamacare, and then you do it, people they're there, and then people see the benefit. And when they see the benefit that, you know, this policy that, you know, gives everybody an equal chance of something, you institute it through power. And then when you have that, you know, when you have that, over time, people see the benefit, and then they start doing that. But what this article by David Brooks said, that what works is put people on teams where they work on a common. Hold on a minute. Espérate, te lo acabo de mandar por correo. Okay, bueno, no importa. Well, the point is that what this guy is saying, that what seemed to work is to put people on teams, you know, where they have a common purpose. And you put people on teams and they have to work on something. After a little while, people kind of know each other. Basically, what it works is not giving them knowledge, but what works is giving them experiences where they have to work together. They know each other as people, you know, and to some extent, we have done that with, what is the name of that thing that we do at UT where they do something together? What's the name of that thing that they do at the beginning?
Something of the mind, life of the mind.
Yeah. What is that?
I think it's called Life of the Mind, where they put freshmen in groups to discuss a book.
Well,
Wow.
I don't know whether that's going to be the kind of thing that this guy is saying. I think this guy would say that kind of doesn't work. He's saying that you need to have teams. I mean, you have to have a project like creating some software or something, you know? It's not about the mind. It's about working together without the mind, you know, doing something with each other as people, okay?
Yes.
And that I thought it was very, how you doing, Vera?
Hey, Vera.
Hi, Vera.
Happy New Year, Vera.
Yes. Happy New Year.
How's your husband, Vera?
We can't hear you yet, Vera.
He's connecting.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Vera, can you hear us?
Hi,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Vera, I wanted to, we were talking about something. We're kind of doing this thing informally today, but but anyway, the big deal is that I was talking about an article that we
About what? I'm sorry.
an article that David Brooks wrote yesterday
Uh-huh.
about these things, about this training that people are getting, about affirmative action and basically discrimination and racism and biases and microaggressions. And his argument was that it doesn't work at all. That it doesn't work at all. And basically, he said, look, all this training is just on the contrary. For some people, it's actually creating hostility.
Where is it?
So he said, what works is putting people on teams, not discussing books or anything like that, but putting people on teams where they have to do something, like they have to fix a car. And people from races go around and work on that. Or you have a bunch of people working software, that what you need to do is create work experiences where people have to depend on each other to do a job. And that what seems to work. And that the way we've been doing it by training people sometimes actually increase hostility among whites because they feel left out. So I thought that was a very interesting thing. Okay.
What do you mean they feel left out? The
Well,
white?
some white people are beginning to think in terms that there is reverse discrimination. And I've read some books about how some of the poor whites feel. And a lot of the poor whites, they're not really doing very well. They're on drugs, they don't have jobs, they don't have all kinds of things. And they hear people talking about, let's help Black people, let's help Latinos, let's help women. And they don't hear anybody saying, we're going to help you. And some of these people who have, may be in a job and they have family that are, that are having a hard time. And you say, well, let's help this Black guy, help that Black guy. And all of a sudden, why are they not doing something to help me as a poor white or whatever? And the argument is that we have to reconceptualize how we're trying to create a less racist environments.
Well, I really think that these whites need to be helped as much as any other minorities. I work with many whites that were very poor and they're really pitiful. And why wouldn't we should help poor whites as much as we help any minorities because they are suffering.
In my opinion, if we're going to have a nation that survives, it's more important at the moment to help poor whites than it is to help anybody else.
Right. They're a majority.
And there was an argument, by the way, by Thomas Friedman of the New York Times, which I think is a genius, that what Kamala Harris should do is create a program for uplifting the countryside of the United States.
Nice.
And by the way, that was actually the whole point. One of the things that I learned is that you look at the counties where they have death of despair, counties where there's a lot of death of despair, and this includes drugs, suicide, drunkenness, cirrhosis, fatness, whatever. The more there are deaths of despair in a county, the more likely it is that they voted for Trump. And the whole book by Michael Sandel is saying that that's exactly what's going on. Okay, that these people feel like there's nothing in it for them, so they're resentful, and that is. So I think it's really important that
I want to say a little bit about my experience working with the poor as a social worker. I was shocked. I never thought that in this country you could see so many poor whites, especially in the Appalachia. And it's not only that they are poor, but let me give you an example. I wrote a proposal to get a grant for one of these poor women that was very talented and to go to college. So I said, tomorrow or in 2 days, the people who are giving me the money are coming to visit you. So be there because she wants to talk to you. I already have the money. So we went to her house and she never opened the door, even though she knew she was going to get all this money. So it's not only a matter of giving the money, or it's a whole mentality that is so different that, Ramon, I think it's very difficult to change. It's not only, I don't know how to explain to you, but my experience working with the poor was more than being poor. It was a mentality that is very difficult to change. So that's my experience.
Well, a lot of that mentality is not so much a mentality, is that when people have a scarcity, they have to worry about, the money for lunch, and they have to do what they have. That so overwhelms people that they're not able to control themselves. Impulse control suffers when people have a lot of scarcity and problems.
Right, but what I'm saying that it's not only a matter of I don't know how they are going to planning to work with the poor, because it's not only finding jobs for them, but you have to change the way they have been functioning for such a long time. That's what I'm telling you, the example of this woman, that I got the money for her, and then she never opened the door to the people who were giving me the money. So she didn't get the money. Even though she was going to get the money, she didn't, because her behavior is different from a middle class. That's what I'm
I
telling you.
understand. But yeah, we're gonna discuss one chapter, but I want to go ahead and one other article that I read is one article that I read is about how people. Let me go ahead and actually. There's a book called The Death of Expertise, and we have gotten in a nation to the point where people feel that ignoring experts is actually something to be proud of. I think for myself and all that, but what I want to do is, have you people seen the Colbert uh, Colbert a sketch on truthiness? Have you people heard? Have you people seen that?
No,
Bobby, have you seen that?
No, I don't recognize it.
How about you, Paul?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Now, Colbert was the one who coined this name truthiness, about something that ought to be true because it sounds true. And this is a very classic thing that he did. Let's take a look at that.
I tell it like it is. I calls them like I sees them. I will speak to you in plain, simple English. And that brings us to tonight's word. Truthiness. Now, I'm sure some of the word police, the wordinistas over at Webster's, are going to say, hey, that's not a word. Well, anybody who knows me know that I'm no fan of dictionaries or reference books. They're elitist, constantly telling us what is or isn't true, or what did or didn't happen. Who's Britannica to tell me the Panama Canal was finished in 1914? If I want to say it happened in 1941, that's my right. I don't trust books. They're all fact, no heart. And that's exactly what's pulling our country apart today. Because face it, folks, we are a divided nation. Not between Democrats and Republicans, or conservatives and liberals, or tops and bottoms. No. We are divided between those who think with their head and those who know with their heart. Consider Harriet Miers. If you think about Harriet Miers, of course her nomination's absurd. But the president didn't say he thought about his selection. He said this.
I know her heart.
Notice how he said nothing about her brain? Have to. He feels the truth about Harriet Miers. And what about Iraq? If you think about it, maybe there are a few missing pieces to the rationale for war, but doesn't taking Saddam out feel like the right thing? Right here? Right here in the gut? Because that's where the truth comes from, ladies and gentlemen. The gut. Do you know you have more nerve endings in your stomach than in your head? Look it up. Now, somebody's gonna say, I did look that up and it's wrong. Well, mister, that's because you looked it up in a book. Next time, try looking it up in your gut. I did. And my gut tells me that's how our nervous system works. Now, I know some of you may not trust your gut yet, but with my help, you will. The truthiness is, anyone can read the I promise to feel the news at you.
What do people feel about that? Huh?
A lot of power.
I did, yeah.
That's one of the problems with this nation right now, that everybody they feel like it's true.
Ed,
well, I don't think you can generalize, Ramon.
No, I know, but there are a lot. I didn't say everybody's like that. I said there are many people like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me go ahead and actually, what we want to do now, I'm very proud of something, by the way, very proud of something. You know that I complain about the Kindle application
Yo,
for Windows, okay? Remember that?
la puedo llamar en un segundo.
You know, I complain about the Kindle application because the Kindle application for Windows was unstable and it didn't have colors and all that. But what I did is I found that I can put an Android simulator in my computer. So essentially my computer is actually able to run all kinds of Android applications. So basically what is happening, I can right now go ahead and run the Kindle application for Android on my computer, which I'm going to do right now, okay? So basically what happens is that I have the ability, right? And it's the simulator is actually working right now. It's going to take a minute. So anyway, we're going to okay. Okay, here's I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to show you right now. Look at, yeah, I'm going to show you right now. We're going to go over one chapter, but notice that now I have colors. You see that? Because I'm running the Android application on my computer. Isn't that neat?
Got the color.
Huh?
Yes.
So I have the full function, and all my devices at home that I control with applications, you know, from the phone and all that, I can run them. Let me see what I can do now. I'm trying to figure out a way of going to the chapter that we're going to be looking today. What is the chapter we're going to be looking today? I forgot what it was.
Chapter 15.
Okay, Bobby, you kind of run that. Okay.
All right. So this is going to be the chapter that I disagree with most everything in it. Let's start with the opening page, the statistics there.
Yeah.
So queer racism produces inequalities between race sexualities. Queer racism produces a situation where 32% of children being raised by Black male same-sex couples live in poverty compared to 14% of children being raised by white male same-sex couples. He's really just showing the racial divide, and so I'll comment when we in a minute, but he's going to tell us about people he met that changed that were different than what he was expecting. But in this area, I don't question that people can mistreat others. But what I question is the whole identity based upon chosen sexual preference. Do you want me to elaborate?
Well, I think I understand. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I would say, you know, that is the area where that question is very difficult to honestly answer. And you know, you know, there's a science around it, which I don't know. But it seems that every opinion that comes in around that is everything I've heard people say that have voiced an opinion at some level has been at least as much self-serving as what I consider anything more than that. I think it's a very difficult and challenging subject to try to quantify. So I think this is a controversial chapter for that reason. And yeah, that's real simple.
Here's the way I think about it. I think identities are created by people outside the group. Discrimination, if you start, for example, my Cuban identity is becoming weak because nobody's going after me because I'm Cuban, okay? Nobody's going after me because I'm Cuban. So, basically, over time, I'm kind of getting the identity of an American or whatever that reads the New York Times and all that. But if you start being discriminated, people get together and they start creating an identity. Now, people who are gay have been discriminated heavily for quite a while, and they have been, people have actually tried to take rights and things away from them, and so they feel like they have to get together and protect themselves. And there's a whole argument, for example, about why do Black people in college, they sit together at the table? Why is it that, and some people blame the Black people because they don't mix, okay? They don't mix. And the argument is whether the reason they're not mixing is because they want to be together or because they seek refuge among themselves. And that was part of this book at the beginning, that some people find Black safe spaces. That's my argument, Bobby. Okay. Now, ideally, you should not identify with something meaningless like being gay or being Cuban and all that. But sometimes you do because you're attacked as a group. You agree with that, Bobby?
I think we have to be. This is a difficult subject. The default statement is that people just love, and that's a fair statement. But I think that where Kindy's trying to go here in this chapter, at a certain level, he has stated that he owes a debt of gratitude to different people that are different because they helped him to recognize flaws in his own thinking. And my tendency is, because of his own experience, my sense is he tries to exhibit an expertise or forward an expertise that he really doesn't have himself. And he's very good at talking about his experience, but when he gets to the level of from statistics on down, to me I don't have a lot of willingness to believe a lot of what he says here. That's the best way I can put it. I'm not criticizing the guy, but so my only experience with people who have different tastes, very, very limited experience. I never get any insight from those people why they made the choices that they did.
Well, I have a cousin, the son of a cousin and first cousin who is gay, okay? And I meet with him most nights with my mother. He shows up, sometimes he doesn't show up, so basically what's happened with him is that he's become part of the family. You know what I'm saying? He's the family. And the fact that the identity of the family is so large that within this context, the identity of his being gay is not important. So full acceptance of him in the family have actually allowed him to not even mention that he's gay. But I also have talked to him when he was being mistreated early on, by the family and others, that all of a sudden his gay identity became really strong. But with us, where he has full acceptance, it's never even mentioned. Does that make sense, Bobby, what you were saying?
Yeah, and so certainly that's more as it should be.
Yeah.
And the same at work, in work relationships. It's here is how I would add my own perspective to the issue of sexuality. So first of all, to realize that we as humans are broken. We are in a broken world. And then that brokenness shows itself in many different ways. And it shows, we can look at greed as one way human brokenness shows itself. But in this society, often greed is not seen as a bad thing. In many contexts, we almost applaud it and say, oh, it motivates people to work hard or whatever. But so some things that are really broken may not be judged as evil or wrong because a society accommodates itself to it. And I would see sexuality as in some ways parallel to, let's say, greed. And
Parallel to what? To
greed. In other words, that we are meant to work. That's a good thing. And sexual relations are a good thing when certainly within marriage. And working hard to earn money is a good thing. But the desire for greed can turn what would be good work into exploiting others. And the same thing happens in sexuality. It shows itself in broken ways. And a society tends to want to accept certain behaviors that become common, whether they are good or not.
Yeah, the way I see it, Bobby, you see that article that I wanted you to discuss, the one about how inclusive was Jesus Christ?
Well, I've read the book that Paul
I don't
among.
mean about that. I talk about something else. I talked about this article. I'm going to show you right now the article that I was talking about.
Well, I do know that Jesus was that the outcasts in society were ones that he loved well and were so drawn to him because he loved them. And whether that was prostitutes or tax collectors or others that were looked down on in that society, there were many of those who were drawn to him. So yeah, find the article.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them and now how inclusive Jesus Christ was. I think I sent it to you. But anyway, the big deal, as far as practicality, you see, you and I have a different worldview. You feel the Bible said that homosexuality is wrong, okay?
What did you think when you read the Paul Among the People's book?
Well, I read that part of I went to that part, and what I found about that part, that when Paul was actually attacking sex among men,
Yes.
he was not attacking homosexuality necessarily. He was talking about the fact that screwing men was used as a way to humiliate human beings, okay? You know,
Yes.
basically, what was it's just like in jails. They go ahead and take a man and they rape him, or the army, they rape the guy as a way of hitting the person. And he was very much against that. And he also wanted to strengthen marriage. So he really wanted to strengthen marriage. So he combined those two things. They, don't have sex outside the marriage, so new, and don't screw men. But screwing men he was against humiliating people. He was against anything that would undermine marriage. But it was not clear that he was so much against homosexuality.
There's something else in that chapter of that book where the author, Sarah, calls into question the existence of non-abusive same-sex relations. She spoke of it as a myth in Greek culture. Do you remember that part of the chapter?
I don't know whether I got that far in the book. I mean, I very seldom read books.
I think that was in chapter 2.
Yeah, I probably did see it then, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't think I actually. I don't think I actually. Probably, I didn't. Probably, I didn't. I don't remember it.
Yeah, and whether what she said is true or not, I don't know, because I was discussing that with my daughter Elizabeth, who teaches the Aeneid, had been a teacher of the Aeneid in school, so she taught this, some of the Roman literature of that time period, and she was surprised at some of the claims of Sarah. She was thumbing through the book, and she found a lot she agreed with, but that part about the existence of non-abusive same-sex relations really in Greek culture being a myth surprised her. So, but anyway.
Yeah, here's the way I see it, Bobby, as from a Christian view, at least the way, what I remember about being Catholic. You hate the sin, but you don't hate the sinner. Okay?
Agree.
Okay, so in this case, you have these people out there who are homosexuals, and you may try to get them not to be that, but you can't treat them badly. You can't treat them badly. You have to treat them right. Okay?
Yes.
And any way you can try to persuade them, you can try to teach them that it's wrong and all of that, but you don't have a right to treat them badly. You have to treat them like any other human being, because humanity, no matter who you are, makes you worthwhile. Whether you're a prisoner, a murderer, all of that, you have humanity that merits you being treated like a human. Does that make sense?
I'm in full agreement.
Well, I know, because I figured that out because at one time. But what I'm saying, you may be in disagreement with them, but you should not go ahead and treat them badly. And I found the article that I was telling you a little while ago, which is this one right here. I got to go ahead and get rid of these. I don't know what's happening here. I have a problem sharing here. I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to share in a different way. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
This is the first century Christians were prepared for what a truly inclusive figure he was. Okay.
I read this article.
And it's really inspiring, from the point of view of you see, the way, since I'm an atheist, I think I say the following thing, we probably would disagree, that I think the interpretation that this guy has of Jesus Christ teaching is the way I was taught to be a Christian as a child. Okay, I think it's it's a very inspiring one. And somewhere in the article at the end, he said he's ashamed how Christians treated the people who had HIV and AIDS, because it was not according to how Christ would have treated people who had the same problem when he was, he would not have treated them that way,
Agreed. Agreed.
So as far as we're concerned, practically, when the rubber hits the road, whether you're a Christian or not, you're a Christian or a humanist or whatever, we agree on how we should treat homosexuals.
Yeah, thank you for pointing this out again. I will read it. I have not read the article. I will read it. Did you notice how the article begins?
This article? Yeah, I read it. I read it a couple of times because I thought it was very, I'm going to go ahead and share that again.
It opens with lines from that DVD series I gave you.
You talk about this part right here?
Get used to different. Yep. Get used to different. That line comes from a marvelous new TV series on Jesus' life, The Chosen. That's the DVD series I gave you.
The one I have here?
Yes.
I got to go ahead and watch it.
Yeah. This line comes from about episode 7, where you can see what's going on, because Jesus is in this series, he's choosing followers. And when he chooses Matthew, right before he's about to choose him, Simon is going, "What are you doing? What are you doing? This is a mistake." And Jesus says to him, "Get used to different."
Yeah, anyway, I think this article was really nice, okay? And you would say this is really what Jesus Christ was saying, but I would say, I kind of was brought up to think that that's what Jesus Christ was saying, but I talked a lot about quality control in Christianity, especially evangelical Christianity. Basically, if you don't have a theology that is established and people discuss, like the Jews do with the Torah, they discuss the meaning of it and all of that, so they really understand the Torah, what it means and what is that. The act of understanding the Torah very well makes Jews very moral people. It's a good article. The point that many people in evangelical Christianity, some guy said, "Oh, I'm a preacher," and start reading the Bible, and all of a sudden he sees that one of the things about was handling snakes, and you have all these Pentecostals handling snakes, and you need to reflect. You want to be a Christian, you have to think about what it means. Then you have to find out how people criticize Christians, understand why they're being criticized. Okay, you have why are they being criticized? Find out whether the criticism is valid, and based on the criticism, you want to go ahead and perfect what you mean by being a Christian. Or you can say that by being a Jew. The Jews do the same thing. The Jews do the same thing. They have rabbis and all of that they actually look at what it means to be a good Jew. And that interaction with books and reading people who contradict them and people say you're wrong and all that, over time creates a theology. And I'll give you an example of that. I finished reading the book, The Tyranny of Merit, okay?
Okay.
And at the very end, they talk about how we have to think of work. Work is not just a mean of making money for consumption. It's a way of getting meaning and feeling that you contribute to other in your society and all that, okay?
Yes.
Ramon, may I ask you a question?
Now, let me tell you what this statement is. Well, the point is that, just a minute. The point is that The point is that according to this book, what this guy is saying, what Michael Sandel is saying, was actually part of Catholic training for a long time. Catholic training theology has a statement of what is work. It's a way of getting meaning and all that. So here's an example where the Catholic Church anticipated what this guy is saying that we have to do in this nation about giving meaning to work. So, but they didn't do that by just whatever. They have to talk to these, they have to look at that, research, look at contradiction. It's an effort to really understand what the Bible means and what it implies or whatever. Now, Bia, I finished. You can say whatever your question was.
Well, these are very idealized ideas about human nature. Even the Jews, as much as you say Jews are not so good, and you're talking about something that really doesn't exist in humanity. To reach perfection, you have to really be willing to put up, to do a lot with yourself that most people are not even aware. So you're talking about things that are completely idealistic, Ramon. Even among the Jews or non-Jews, I don't think everybody is capable of doing all what you're saying.
I don't think everybody's capable, but I would tell
But
you.
most of no, I mean not everybody. Most of the people are not even interested in doing that.
I agree with that, but here's what I'm saying. Here's what I would say. Humanity has provided a series of disciplines. One of them is Judaism. What's in the Old Testament about treating people and all that. You have to leave, some fruits on the side of the road for the people. There's a lot of ethics there. You find things like Buddhism, where you say about compassion. You see like Stoics about what's the right way. There are many, many, many avenues that have been provided over time to become more human. And,
yeah, but
I don't know about everybody being here, but I can myself adopt one of these disciplines and try to use it as a way of becoming a better person.
Okay, I agree, and me too. And I try to do that all my life, most of my adult life. But how many people you think that they go and try or read or are interested? Most people are not that way, Ramon.
I know, I'm saying, but I mean,
you're talking about the selected part of humanity only.
I am talking about only myself.
Well,
I think humanity, philosophy, like for example, the tyranny of merit or Christianity, some of the stuff and all that, and Buddhism and Stoicism have provided me tools for myself becoming a better person. And now I know that a lot of people don't care about that. There are people who like to be cunning, there are people who like to be that, but there are tools out there for becoming a better person that you can use. That doesn't mean I would agree that a lot of people don't use them, but they're there.
I agree with you that they are there, but my point of view, how many people look for those tools is a very small minority of humanity. I really don't think that you're talking about majority.
I would say that that's true, but some people that are leaders and all that, Martin Luther King.
How many Luther Kings you have?
Luther King took the Bible and found inspiration there to actually try to change society in the right direction. What is the name of that guy who inspired the British to get rid of slavery? I forgot his name. I can never say.
Wilberforce.
Wilberforce.
Wilberforce, yeah.
So, I mean, some people have been inspired by Christianity. Some people have been inspired by Judaism. And these people have become better people. I know that not everybody does that, but if you get leaders to do that, we can make a better world, I think.
But since Jesus or before, we have been trying to make a better world, and we haven't succeeded. There's a lot of poverty in the world, extreme poverty. There's a lot of crime. So I don't think that as much as a few people try, the majority of people are not going to fall into that category. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, I know the majority of people are going to do that, but there is a lot of empirical evidence that people have become better. There's, I mean, the Bible in the Old Testament, they talk about brothers killing each other, and it turns out that that's actually the way the world was at the beginning. People kill each other all the time, brothers and sisters and all that. And there's a book that is very important. How you people look at the better angels of our nation. Let me go ahead and just show you a book. You and I read this book, by the way.
May I say something, Ramon?
Yeah, let me go ahead and show this book for a minute.
Don't let me talk.
Well, anyway, we actually read this book, Vera. You and I read this book, okay?
Which book is that?
Pinker's book, The Better Angels of Our Nature.
Yeah, but I think that we have become better in a way, a certain population, because more people are able to eat and survive. If you take that away, we are animals. I really think we haven't changed that much. What has changed is the economy of the world.
Okay, I agree with you that if people don't have the basic needs, they cannot feed their family and all that, they will become bad people. And from what Bobby tells me, that's actually in the Bible. Let me not be so poor that I steal, or so rich that I. So I mean, if you're poor, I always say that it's very easy for me to be a nice person. I don't need anything. I have enough to eat and all that. But it's very, very hard. Okay. But one of the things we talked about here, why we became human. Okay? And I'm going to put together a couple of ideas that I heard from Bobby. And one of them, that I read about, we talked a little while ago what Protestantism did. All of a sudden,
repeat that again.
Some Protestants, Martin Luther did something that the Pharisees did for Judaism. Martin Luther told people that it was very important for them to learn to read, okay? So that they could actually understand the Bible and communicate with God. What that did is created a body of people, lots of people, farmers' children and all that could read, okay? Now, what happened with that reading, one consequence of that when the Industrial Revolution came along, there were people who could read, who could do it. But there was another thing that happened. In those days, roaming libraries were all over the place. There were tons of books like Les Miserables and Uncle Tom's Cabin. All these books and literature where people could see the prisoner as a human being and the poor and all of that. This reading that the Protestant brought to the West, all of a sudden people started understanding the poor and all of that. And that reading of novels, stories, and all of that created a common humanity.
Don't you think that the Protestants, I agree with you, but also the Protestants brought to the world a sanctity of working and being able to sustain yourself, and that's what created humanity, because if people are hungry and don't do anything, they will not be human completely.
That's true too. That's what Calvinism
so
did.
where we talk,
but I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about something else. We're talking about that reading novels about the precarious life of other people, the poor and all that. You cannot come out of reading Les Miserables.
I read the Miserables, and what does that do for a person who doesn't have enough money or is hungry? It's a very fascinating book because I read it when I was a teenager. But I mean, somebody that cannot even hardly read, what are you going to do for them?
Well, I already agree that you need a basic level of material comforts to be able to act morally. And that's in the Bible. Bobby, how about if we go back to the book again, okay? Can we do that?
Well, I really don't think there's that much we need to talk about in that chapter?
No, I would agree. I think this chapter is really the all. As much as I love this book, and I won't debate the points that he tries to make because some of them are probably very good. I think this is a one area where the author overreached a bit.
Well, I don't think this chapter is important at all. It's very peripheral to the message of the book. Whether,
And I
we,
think that,
whether we agree or disagree or ignore the chapter, it's not going to make any difference from what we can learn
agreed.
from
And
this
I think
book.
the next two chapters are going to go well together because it's failure and then success.
Yep. Yep.
So why don't we plan next time doing those two chapters?
I don't think, Bobby, I read that by chapter, and I think that the chapter failure, I don't think we can even finish it in one session.
Okay, all right.
I think, I had, let me show you, just to show you,
I read it today, so I'm familiar with
I don't know, I'm going to show you what I have with that book, and so you see very quickly. It's going to take a minute for this application. Well, it's actually kicked in.
well, it's fine to do just that one, but I
Well,
think
let me just show you the chapter on failure. I want you to look at what
how much you marked it up.
I just want you to look at how much I marked up on this chapter, okay? You see, I couldn't really, I mean, there were so many things that I had to think about.
Okay.
And, there was a lot of things. We can try, what we can try is do a compromise between what you say and what I'm saying. And one of them is like, let's read this chapter and the next, and then see how much we can do,
Yeah, well, let's say we read them both.
Try to do one of them. Yeah.
Well, I start the chapter because they go together, like Bobby said, and we just go as far as we can over those two chapters. I don't know whether we're going to be able to finish.
Yeah,
And
fine.
anyway, I will go ahead and write that down. And I'm very glad you came in. You contributed another perspective as Bobby. Bobby came up with the Christian perspective, which turns out that he was very close to what I thought was my perspective. And, he's certainly a humanist perspective, but humanism comes from Judaism and Christianity, and I would say Buddhism and whatever. So I think we agree. The big idea today was, I thought, is that whatever perspective you have of whether homosexuality is wrong or not, we agree that we should treat them with dignity and try to convince them, try to convince that's wrong or right or whatever, but you don't discriminate against a person because they're gay if they can do the job right.
Agreed.
Ramon, I think the people in this group all agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think that this group doesn't have different ideas. We are talking about a lot of people that are completely different from what you're saying, that would not agree with any of these things with homosexuals or Jews or that exists and it's human nature. I'm sorry to say that's it. When you're different, they don't accept you so easily.
Vera,
Yeah.
before I go, can I ask about how your husband is doing?
Oh, thank you very much. He's doing great. He's doing great. I mean, his mind was not affected, and he's a Patricia Neal, and he will have to go to to our nursing home for a while with more rehabilitation. But he's fine. We talk to him a couple of times a day. My children are here, and a couple of grandchildren are here, so has been a blessing for me because otherwise it would have been very difficult.
Yes.
But thank you very much for asking.
Well,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that I'm arguing so much, but tonight I'm very arguable.
Okay, Bobby, let me go ahead and show you something which I read. I'll show very quickly. Remember this thing from the book, The Death of Expertise? And look at that statement. Is that,
Yeah.
I would say that I would say that that actually applies within religion. I would say that it also applies within religion in the following sense. You can go ahead and just read the Bible, whatever, and see this is what it says, or the Torah says this, and you can be casual and say, well, I know everything about it and I know what's going on. Or you can go ahead and say, well, I'm really going to go ahead and read what this, what is the name of this guy, Wallace, whatever. I mean, I'm going to read what this preacher said and that preacher said, thoughtful people who thought about something. And, I mean, if you go ahead and do that, you are more likely to end up with a sophisticated understanding of what the religion says than if you just go ahead and just casually think that you yourself can go in and read the Bible on your own and not talk to anybody. You don't read anybody who's done anything. This guy by the name of Tom Nichols, it's certainly worse. What is the name of that guy also the other day we talked about that I sent you an article, Bobby, by Christoph. Remember that Christoph about Christianity? Wallace, I thought his name was.
Oh, the one we just looked at.
No, not this one. There was another one by a guy, by Wallace. Okay, I'll pick it up in a minute. I'll find it in a minute.
Oh, that,
I'll find it in a minute. This article, I thought it was very, let's say, New York Times. Oh, wait, do you people know this trick that I'm going to use right now?
what trick?
I'll just show you something.
Yeah, Ramon, I think I'm going to need to go.
Well, I was just, then let me go ahead and just show you this in a minute, okay? You can say site, New York Times,
Yep.
New York Times, New York Times.com, Christoph, how do you spell Christoph?
Oh yeah, look at that.
Uh,
Nice.
okay, here's the article that I was talking about. This is actually a conversation between Christoph and Wallace.
Yeah, I read that article.
It was
Yeah.
incredible. This Wallace guy. So I'm saying, you go ahead and you say I'm a Christian, and you read the Bible and do whatever you want. Read, whatever. I mean, you just don't read anything, think about it and all that, and you don't take the time to read these people, this kind of like caliber of people. You end up with probably would say not a true Christianity, but I would say you don't end up with a moral understanding of what these disciplines are telling you. You just can't figure this out on your own because you're intelligent and all that. You have to rely on wise people to help you think about what these things mean. That's what Bobby, does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I should tell you that Mary Kay gave me a subscription to the New York Times for Christmas, and so now I can gladly read these even when you haven't got the PDF for me. So,
You know what my feeling about that? One bias that people have is overvaluing trivial amount of money. Okay, what do I mean by trivial amount of money? With the amount of money you make, your children are grown out and I make and all that, paying $10 a month for the New York Times, $10 is nothing, okay? And the New York Times is arguably the best newspaper in the world, okay? To the point right now, since they have all this money, they are attracting they're attracting all the smartest people from left, right, Christian, or whatever, and for $10 a month. So why are you valuing $10 more than having a subscription to the New York Times? I can't believe that. And
I'll go
Because
congratulate.
not
you on
everybody
the
thinks
choice.
like you, Ramon.
well, I mean, I think, but $10 is nothing, and you
But
have,
if you agree with the New York Times philosophy, many people don't.
well, and here's what I'm saying. The New York Times right now has some people. There is a guy that I read all the time, Brett Stevens, who's a climate change denier. They're attracting people from the left and right that are really small. How about Duha? Dutha, what's his name? He's a Christian Catholic. Okay, one who's actually written about the Pope and the Church, all that. He's a very important Catholic, but he's a smart one. So they're getting people that are Christian, Jews, this, whatever. As long as they're smart and they know how to carry an argument, they're buying them off. So if you get the New York Times, you get a lot of perspectives,
I've been reading New York Times forever. I find it a very interesting paper.
By the way, the other magazine you have to subscribe, Ken and Bobby, which is the most important magazine in the world, is Economist. I cannot imagine somebody not reading The Economist.
I don't even have time for all the articles you send me. So I have time for that too.
Well, Happy New Year to everyone. I know it's getting.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Just
Happy
one
New
thing,
Year.
I'm gonna put this thing today on a private link on YouTube so that Bob Ken, if he wants to,
Okay.
and Chuck can actually get it, and I'll tell people that we're gonna go over the next 2 chapters as far as we can go. Is that okay?
Very good.
Perfect.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Good night.